Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video in Pokemon Masters. Today we are talking about the Rental Battle Challenge, Throwback Challenge, and its Challenge Battle Round 5. Now, I actually think these Rental Battle Challenge are very educational, very important for players to actually understand how to play this game. If you can clear these without any help, it means you actually understand how this game works. And if you can't, that's great. I'm going to give you the video of how I beat it in a moment. And then I'm going to explain step by step how I beat it for Challenge Battle 5. So I'm going to explain what I'm going to do first. This is the first part right now. Then I'm going to show you the video of how I actually beat Challenge Battle 5. But I actually need to explain some things to you if you're a beginner in this game, because Challenge Battle 5 actually takes into consideration a lot of more advanced levels of play. Things like sync nuking, multipliers, flinch chaining, a proper setup, proper team build, knowing what the opponents are doing, passive skills. Knowing all of those actually is important in how to beat this battle challenge number 5. So just a bit of a tip: whenever I start a new challenge and I don't really know what to expect, I always just press the area details just to see what's going on. It will tell me to watch out for attack down. So what that means is, and you'll see that in a moment, the first thing the opponent does is it lowers my attack. The opponent lowers all of my sync pairs' attack by 2. That means physical damage will be less, will be reduced. And it says to focus on reducing the special attack and focus on flinching. And doing these on the opponents will help you beat the stage. So these are the hints that it's given us. Doesn't necessarily mean it is the only way. In fact, quite often, especially Champion Stadium, by the time you reach sort of the end game level, you don't need any of this. You kind of just power through with multipliers and sync nuking, or even just regular move nuking. But for throwback challenges where you're limited on your teams, in fact, you can only choose what you're given, it is important to know what you're doing, because you don't have the luxury of lucky skills and sync grids and so on. Anyway, let's go through the video one time first. I'm just going to show you the video. For those of you who need to know how to beat this stage and don't want to listen to me too much, here it is.
Here we go!
Keep it going! This is it!
Go for it! Fly!
Keep it going! This is it! All right!
Let's go!
You ready for this? There you go!
Brace yourself! Prepare for turbulence!
Hit him where it hurts! There you go!
You got this!
Hit him where it hurts!
We're winning this! Now!
You ready for this? Go!
Let's go! Leave it to me!
You ready for this? There you go!
You got this! I'm not gonna let you win! Leave it to me! Prepare for turbulence!
ready for this? There you go!
We can fight on!
You ready for this?
We'll do better next time!
There you go!
You got this!
Hit him where it hurts! There you go! No! I refuse to be squashed!
Let's go!
You ready for this? Go!
Go!
You ready for this?
Counter turbulence! Here goes! Gotta pull together! Did you enjoy the flight?
Guys, let's talk about what happened during that stage. And I've got my video scroller here, so we're just going to scroll through and explain every step of what happened during that stage and how we actually beat it and why I decided to do things a certain way. Now, if you're just starting out, I definitely recommend that you don't use auto. One of the newer members has asked me why I keep failing, and then we realized that he was using auto. So turn off auto. We're talking about this thing here. For stages that you can't beat easily, you should not be using auto, and have it on the slowest speed possible. Don't have triple speed going. You won't catch what's going on. All right, first things first. First thing that the Hydreigon does is Terrify 2. It's a passive skill that when it enters the stage, and sometimes you don't know these passive skills until you actually play it a few times and you go, oh, there it is. Terrify 2 actually reduces the attack of all of my sync pairs. With Samurott not being able to be reduced because of his passive skill called Impervious, so its stats can never be lowered no matter what. So what do I want to do? Well, first things first, I need to think about who's going to be my main damage dealer here. There's two options. One, it's usually not the support type. So Samurott is a support. By support, I mean this heart-shaped thing. That means it's a support role. Generally, it's there to take damage. It's there to be bulk. Technical units and strikers are usually the damage dealers. In this situation, I've actually decided that both Skylar and Tornadus, as well as Nate and his Braviary, will be my damage dealers in two different ways though. And that's because Skylar can buff its... So I'm going to look at the sets of these Pokemons. Skylar can buff its own crit. It can buff a little bit of its special attack, but it cannot fully buff its own special attack. Using this team, Samurott will be able to boost the attack of the entire team, but it cannot boost the special attack of the entire team. So I can't have only Skylar doing all the damage because Skylar will just not fully buff herself. It's not possible using this team. Nate, on the other hand, with its trainer moves, Dire Hit and its other in Be Brave, the trainer moves, it will be able to fully buff itself. But I'll tell you why I decided to use Skylar also for damage dealing, and that's because in its sync move, if you click on the description, it says the attack's power increases when when there's a flying zone applied. That usually means there's a multiplier in this move. And this usually only happens in technical units. By technical, I mean tech units. Striker units don't usually have this. Striker units, they just usually say no additional effect. But striker units normally, so this is a striker, the punching fist. Striker units usually do a lot more damage using their regular moves. In this case, Fly is going to do more damage than Aerial Ace, but you'll find that I use Aerial Ace more because Fly is a 2-turn move. I didn't want to waste 2 turns delaying the whole stage. But Fly has an advantage. You can fly up and miss certain moves from the opponent, which you will also get to see in this video. So I decided that I would use Skylar, buff her own stats, Nate will buff his own crit, and then Samurott will buff the entire team's attack stat. So let's play. So you can see, typically what we will want is just to make sure everything's buffed as much as possible using trainer moves in the first few turns. So you'll see that my crit is going up for Skylar. Die hit will boost the Nate's crit, and then this guy will boost the entire team's attack. Alright, so let's watch the buffs. And you'll see that I'm setting up for the next move already. The next trainer move. And still, I want to buff the attack. So again, I'm using dire hit. We want crit to be as high as possible. This trainer move also buffs crit and also special attack. But it doesn't buff crit fully. So there's a good chance that the attacks from Skylar won't be critical hits. Critical hits typically do about 2 times the damage. So whereas in Nate's case, he's probably going to do critical hits 100% of the time with 3 crit ups. So that's crit there. Okay, so nothing new. So we buffed special attack. Speed also goes up with her trainer move. All right, so next thing is you'll see me using Flying Wish. And I've set up for Waterfall. Waterfall is a move that has a 20% chance of flinch. What flinch means is that the opponent cannot use a Pokemon move, but it can use a trainer move. So if timed properly and you flinch just before the opponent makes a move, sometimes you can queue up about 5 moves before the opponent even makes one. And I'll show you this in a moment because this is what's called flinch chaining, to have flinch happening multiple times so that you're making 5 moves at a time, really counting down your sync timer a lot before your opponent can even move. Then you'll be reaching sync moves before your opponent, ultimately doing more damage in a short amount of time. Flying Wish sets up Flying Zone, which boosts the damage of all flying type moves, but it will boost the sync move of Skylar even more because of the multiplier effect in its sync move that I showed you earlier. So in this case, I've actually decided that I won't be using Nate to do the damage with sync moves, but I will be using Skylar for the sync move and keeping Nate as a regular move damage dealer in Flying Zone. And so in Flying Zone, Aerial, Ace, or Fly will still, or whatever move you decide to use from Nate, will still get that boosted damage. So let's play. So Flying Zone is set up now. Of course, sometimes you got to watch out for opponents that also have flying attacks, so you don't want to be boosting them. Alright, so crit is happening. And we did not get a flinch. So, this next part is very important. This is not flinch chaining. This is what's known as quad Q. 4 moves to Q. Before your opponent... So you'll be able to use 4 moves before your opponent gets to do 1. And it only happens in sort of proper setups where you start with a sync move. So you can see in terms of the moves that are counting down, that are being used one after another, it only happens when sync move is number 1, then 2 other moves, whatever move it may be. Sometimes weather effects can affect that, passive skills can change that, but generally speaking, this will happen if you've got a sync move lined up at the first slot. So Skylar's going first, Aerial Ace comes second, Waterfall comes third, then I will be able to use Skylar 1 more move before the opponent gets to choose a move, and I'll show you that. So let's keep playing. The reason why I decided to hit the central unit is because that's the one that I wanted to get rid of first. Now, I got lucky enough to land a crit with only a 2 crit buff. It wasn't guaranteed. So sometimes if I don't crit, I might just restart the stage and hope that I get a better RNG next time so that I can actually beat the stage. So in this case, I was lucky enough to get a crit. I didn't have to restart the game. Now watch me spam hit that air cutter move. Watch me spam hit this one because I want to queue it up into the third slot now before the opponent gets to make a move. So let's play that. And there we go. So you can see that I've put air cutter in before poison jab from the opponent. So that's 4 moves. The more moves you can fit in before the opponent gets to hit, the slower they'll be able to count down the sync move, the more damage you can do overall. So that's quad queuing. And next you're going to see flinch chaining. So let's keep playing. So a little bit more damage from... Okay, flinch. So one flinch is just a flinch. Flinch chaining is when you do it multiple times. So in this case, what I've done is, you notice that the poison jab didn't work because he flinched. So let's go back a little bit. Scroll back a little bit. He was going to use poison jab, but waterfall with the 20% chance of flinching prevented him from doing that. And look at aerial ace. It actually moves up a slot in terms of the priority of hit because of that flinch, ultimately giving me another move before the opponent can even count down their sync by 1. So let's go ahead and play that. Watch that aerial ace go up a slot. And there we go. I made another move and the opponent still hasn't made that move, the next move. All right, now we move on. So now that everything's pretty much set up, everything I'm doing now is just damage dealing. Just be aware that air cutter has a flinch chance as well. So in this situation where air cutter is the first move before the opponent's move happening, so 1, 2, 3, the first move being air cutter, then aerial ace, then waterfall. If I cause a flinch now, that actually doesn't help the situation because it would cancel Dragon Pulse, but then the opponent will line up a move straight away, so it hasn't changed the order at which we move. If I was able to flinch him at waterfall instead, so here, after I've selected another 2 moves, that's a true flinch chain because I would have inserted like 4 or 5 moves before the opponent can even do 1. So let's move on and see what happens. I flinched. Now notice that the opponent just simply changed from a Pokemon move, Dragon Pulse, to X Speed All. But the position of the moves didn't really change. I was able to sneak in a Flying Wish again, luckily. So sometimes this happens. It's a little bit random when it does and when it doesn't. But I was able to sneak in a Flying Wish. Normally, the X Speed All will be under Waterfall, and Flying Wish will be under X Speed All. So I got pretty lucky here to insert another move. Alright, so basically just selecting some moves for more damage. And I set up Flying Wish because the Flying Zone is running out. And we know it's running out because you can see that it's flashing here. It's running out. Usually within 3 turns from when it starts to flash is when the zone will disappear. Okay, so more damage dealing. Now in this situation, you'll see that I'm waiting to click that sync move with Skylar because of the multiplier effect. So, and I want to quad Q. So sync move first, then waterfall. Unfortunately, this waterfall is kind of useless because you can't flinch a sync move. So, but it's still a bit of damage. Now you'll see me spam hitting that air cutter in a moment, right now, to queue it up before the sync move comes along. So that's quad Q. So this waterfall, even if it causes flinch, doesn't do anything because a sync move will happen no matter what. I didn't quite kill him. If I did, if I had a good roll of attacks and a bit more flinching during the stage, Hydreigon wouldn't have even landed a sync move. But it's no matter because we'll still be able to beat it, even though it did manage to land a sync move. And you can see the order of my attacks after that is Aerial Ace first, because Aerial Ace doesn't have a flinch chance. Air Cutter and Waterfall both have a flinch chance. So I left them for later on in the order of attacks so that I can get more sync countdown per opponent move. So let's keep playing. So that's going to kill off the Hydreigon. They can't make a move right now because they've run out of moves and they're flinched. Now, know that after we take out the central unit, usually the side units suddenly do a huge amount of damage. So I'm using Mini Potion All to keep everyone alive. And notice that I killed... So at this point, I killed that Leaf Fanny that is preparing a move. So once again, I have put another one of my move up an order in terms of which move goes next. Because if you kill an enemy that is preparing a move, then it dies, the next enemy that queues will be at the bottom of your list of moves you selected. So have a look at that. So you can see I've queued up 3 moves, but it first removes that Razor Leaf, which was at position number 2. At this point, I used Fly, and it was actually just out of luck that I did. If this is flinch, if that Waterfall had flinched, it would be great. If it didn't, what it has done, if you look at my Fly now, the opponent cannot touch me with a regular move, unless it's a sync move. So my Nate and Braviary is not getting any damage at all. The opponents do huge damage when you've cleared out the central unit, so do be very careful about fighting the side units after you clear out the central units. And quite typically, the side units, once you clear out the central unit, once you've defeated the central unit, the side units quite typically do area of effect all opponent attacks, like Earthquake. It will hit all of you and usually hit really hard. And that's why you can see that I almost died to this move. I could have used Mini Potion All again, but it was near the end, so it's about time to finish it off. And this is where we do actually finish off the opponent. And there you have it, guys. There was a lot of content in that one stage, which is why I was really excited to explain this part to you guys. I think Challenge Battle 5 is probably the most complex of all the challenge battles so far. You have to know how multipliers work, flinch chaining works, quad queuing works. You got to understand special attack versus attack. You need to understand passive skills. So there's a lot of juicy bits in this Challenge Battle 5. If you have any questions, anything you don't understand, you can use the comment section down below, or come ask me or my community on Discord. I'll leave a link in the description below. We're more than happy to help you out if you have any troubles. If you're not really into understanding all of this, you know what? Just follow the steps I gave in the video earlier and beat the stage that way, and hope that you flinch at the right time. Because sometimes it just depends on when you flinch, whether you're going to get the same results as me. There is some randomness, some RNG involved in this game. If this video helped you, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.